I'm going to be exploring more lost dubs in this video. This is the second half of a video series that if you haven't seen part 1, I'll link it below. In part 1 I go from 20 to 11, and this part is going from 10 to 1. But if you don't want to check it out, the video still works on its own. With that out the way, let's get into some more lost/unreleased anime dubs. The Unreleased Pretty Cure dub. So Pretty Cure is a magical girl franchise that is huge in Japan, spanning multiple spin-offs, sequels, and merchandise. It didn't get near as popular in the US or just other English-speaking markets in general. The series aired from 2004 to 2005 and it would get licensed a year later by the well-known 4Kids Entertainment, which is a name that will pop up again later. The announcement came directly from the CEO at the time, Al Khan, at New York City Comic Con. The problem Pretty Cure and 4Kids faced was that they couldn't find a TV broadcaster that wanted the show. This kinda stems back to the anime boom of the 90s. Anime became super popular in the early 2000s, but it later started to die down, mainly around the mid-2000s. Pretty Cure was acquired in 2006. During this time, it was very common for anime to be pitched to TV stations with the plans for a huge merchandising line. But it was all banked on the show getting picked up for TV. If it didn't, the series would get axed. This actually happened to a few other anime that I'm going to be talking about later, and I briefly mentioned this when it came to Zoids in the last video. 4Kids couldn't find a broadcaster until time ran out and Pretty Cure went back to the hands of Toei. So it's unknown if 4Kids actually made one. Toei later did request for Ocean's Production, a Canadian recording studio, to do a dub of it, which is the one available and that aired in Canada and in the UK. Most likely they did dub it because when pitching to broadcasters, they are supposed to have a concept of what the viewer would see. The possible dub was done 10 years ago, so there is a slim chance that it will ever be seen. The Battle B-Daman dub. Continuing with the mid to late 2000s, there was a plethora of toy anime. Anime that had a storyline and characters but would be based around the game that could be bought in real life. The most well known would be Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Beyblade. A few other lesser known ones were airing around the same time. Battle B-Daman was one of these and had a missing dub. To be more precise, the second season's dub is partially missing. Season 1 was aired in many regions, so it's very easy to find. Season 2 only aired on YTV in Canada and Indian and Philippines Cartoon Network. Each season had around 50 episodes, and only 23 have surfaced from Season 2. There is a list available on the episodes that have been found and that are still missing. The Canadian Astro Boy dub. Sweet, I get to talk about another Tezuka series, his most well-known one at that, Astro Boy. If you don't know who he is, he's considered the father of manga for several reasons and made a huge impact on anime that we still see today. Astro Boy was created in 1952 and would later become so iconic that it would get several adaptations decades later. There is even a new one currently in development. While there are many, I'm going to be talking about the 1980 series. It was the first one to have Astro Boy in color and was also a remake of the original 1960s anime. It aired in both the US and Japan during the time. There was a dub recorded in the States, but based on the title of the entry, you know it's not that one. In 1985, another one was done in Canada. It was produced for regions where English wasn't the only language spoken. The Canadian dub was actually edited a lot in comparison to its American counterpart, mainly the scenes with violence, like a character being shot in the eyes and the inflicting pain from it being completely removed. A big change was that every character except Astro and some minor ones had their names changed. This version of Astro Boy ran from 1985 to 1996, globally and for free stations. The dub at the time was incredibly available. This version never got a home video release. Copies of it are most likely gone because they were recorded on beta tapes. Those tapes were wiped to be used again for other shows after Astro Boy finished its syndication, so the dub is most likely gone forever. But in April of 2016, 5 episodes from it were put online. The other 46 have still not been found, but it's something. They are all on Dailymotion if you want to see them. The Cyborg 009 English dub. Probably one of the most well-known when it comes to lost dubs, Cyborg 009 is a doozy. This anime actually had a lost dub and an unreleased one to some extent. The manga was created by Shotaro Ishinomori in 1963. Similar to Astro Boy, it would become so popular that it would get several adaptations in movies and TV form for decades to come. There was even one released last year. Noted as the first superhero team created in Japan, it follows 9 cybernetic warriors who fight against the evil organization that turned them into cyborgs. Both dubs are of the Cyborg Soldier anime, because it is the only one that aired on the Toonami block. Let's start with the lost one. The original 2003 broadcast of Cyborg 009 has not been found. This is a big deal because those episodes that made it on air are a little different to the ones that are available. The difference is that some lines weren't changed that pushed the TVY7 rating it had, or just completely went past it. 2 to be exact. Episode 3, Assassin of Flash, Cyborg 0010 says during a speech, "Truly, I'm your brother from hell," and episode 4, at the end of battle, Cyborg 002 shouts, "I don't even believe in God." Cartoon Network later realized the mistake and those lines got re-recorded. They were changed to,
"You might as well give up right now. You will never be able to overcome my power."
And 002's lines changed to,
"I didn't even trust my parents."
The original dub audio has never resurfaced after that. A scene was cut from the episode, The Hero, where a few of the characters are chatting and then wonder what 002 is doing in New York. Based on many reports online, the scene was there on the original airing. The original lines and scene would be missing in the Sony DVD release. Another version of the dub is out there, a version where 009's voice actor is different. In the run that was aired, he was voiced by Joshua Seth, who many know as Tai from Digimon and Tetsuo from the Akira dub. Derek Stephen Prince actually had the role before him. He's known for characters like Uryu in Bleach, Shino in Naruto, Fuyuhiko in Danganronpa, and a ton more. He was fired because his voice was higher pitched than what executives wanted. Funny enough, when it came to redubbing the episodes, they were done out of order. The episodes couldn't be re-recorded in time for their airings. Episodes 5 and 7 still had the lines he recorded, so randomly 009's voice changes for 2 episodes. Now time for the unreleased dub. The anime had a 3-episode OVA called God's War. It was episodes 49 through 51 and it was the ending to the series. It said that all 52 episodes were dubbed and even a recap one. If a show wasn't doing well in the early 2000s, Cartoon Network would axe it, which is what happened.
That was sort of the Cartoon Network model. It was like, we'll try it, and then we're contractually obligated, but we never said when we would run it, so
we'll
it would
just
run
throw
it
it on somewhere and not give
9:45 a.m. or 3 a.m. or whatever it would be.
But yeah, very different from today's TV model, where even if a show is failing, they usually just let it wrap up just so the fans can have their wrap up. But back in the day, it was much more like, shut up, you didn't watch it anyway.
It got cut on episode 48, but the show would be aired in Australia the following year. Because of that, episode 48 was recorded and posted online, but 49 through 51 have never been found. If you're wondering where episode 52 is, the last 2 episodes of God's War were cut together because TV Tokyo couldn't air more than 51 episodes. The recap episode, Yomi Group, counted as a regular episode even though it was made to be filler so that they can catch up on their deadlines. Yomi Group increased the planned episode count by 1. The DVD release would have the episodes in their original forms. The English scripts were used for a Latin America dub, and they had those episodes. When it came to Sony's DVD releases of Cyborg 009, none of them ever had the full dub, missing those 3 episodes. It doesn't end there. Ishimori Productions, a company that develops works created by Shotaro Ishinomori, who worked on a lot of popular series aside from Cyborg 009, closed the rights to the anime after Sony's license expired, so no company can license it. So the dub has no legal way of being released, and the God's Wars episodes are pretty much never going to be seen. A rep at Turner Broadcasting stated that Cartoon Network saves all their programming in an archive. Some just can't be re-aired for rights issues. So in theory, the Cartoon Network archives can have the God's War episodes and the original broadcast episodes, but can't release them for legal reasons, and it's been like that for more than a decade. So the dub is currently incomplete and will most likely stay like that. Fox Kids' Vision of Escaflowne. Before Funimation's new Vision of Escaflowne dub, there was a dub before it, the original dub done by Ocean's Productions, but there's an alternate version of that one for Fox Kids. It was a Saturday morning block that ran from September 8th, 1990 to September 7th, 2002. It aired a variety of animated series. Escaflowne was one of the few anime that aired on it. It was produced by Haim Saban, who founded Saban Entertainment, which acquired many anime and localized them at the time. This version of the anime was edited big time. It shared a name being Escaflowne, removed footage, added flashbacks, and it made it seem that Hitomi wasn't as important as she really was to the story. They even replaced part of the Yoko Kanno composed soundtrack for a more techno theme. So much was cut that they stringed together parts from other episodes to have a full 24-minute runtime. A lot of what made the show special was sacrificed to appeal to a younger audience that the show was clearly not meant for. You can easily compare this to what 4Kids did to One Piece. It did keep the original actors from Ocean. The scripts were just changed. Fox did explain the reasoning for the edits. It was to meet its target audience, comply with broadcast standards, and to fit with the time slot. All of that is pretty common when it comes to localization, but it still doesn't explain downplaying one of the leads and the name change. It only aired 10 episodes before getting cancelled because of low ratings, and it even skipped the first episode. The dub did air in its entirety on YTV in Canada, and it finished by airing the first episode. It's a little confusing. Bandai would later release the dub in 2000, but it would only last a year because that home video release would also get cancelled. I'll link below a piece that talks about it more in depth. It's a good read. Since that VHS version was cancelled, it's become incredibly rare. Only 11 episodes from the 26 have been found, and they're all on YouTube if you want to see them. Idaten Jump. This is one of my favorites on the list. Idaten Jump, an anime that you most likely never heard of. It had 52 episodes and ran from 2005 to 2006 in Japan. Like many shows at the time, it was a series that would have a toy line accompanying it. It was your typical premise of epic battles with said toy, like other shows, but it was based around mountain biking. It's really dumb. The show did get an English dub in the States, but it combined 2 episodes of the Japanese version to make a single one, hence having 26 episodes. It got a really bad time slot from Cartoon Network, which they did quite often to other shows. It aired at 5 AM and also aired on YTV in Canada. Both started airing in 2006 and did complete the full 26 episode run, but it failed in launching a franchise like it was intended to. The episodes were streamed online on Hasbro's site based on a photo taken. It looks like the other episodes were on there, but they are now gone. Idaten Jump was also never put on home video. The reason this is one of my favorites is that it's the only anime where both the English and Japanese versions are lost. It did poorly in Japan too, and while it did get a DVD release there, those are very hard to find. There is almost nothing on both versions except 2 episodes of the dub and a piece of another, but that's it. It's also really weird because of who was in it. Big names like Yuri Lowenthal, Steve Bloom, Michelle Ruff, and a ton more. The cast list is easy to find. Apparently there is an Animax dub of Idaten Jump 2, and that one is lost as well. It may seem like the anime is completely missing if the original Japanese version is nowhere to be found, but you can still watch it online. The show aired often in India, so all the episodes were recorded and uploaded, but they are dubbed in Hindi. Till this day, neither the Japanese or English version has been found. ADV's Gurren Lagann. One of the most well-known Gainax-produced anime, Gurren Lagann went through a few hands before getting to Aniplex. Most think that Bandai Entertainment was the original licensor for Gurren, but ADV Films had it before them. ADV was a licensing, distribution, and dubbing company that was responsible for a lot of series releasing in North America. They are going to pop up a few more times in the video. They announced the acquisition at Anime Expo in 2007, but later the show, with a few others, would be removed from the catalog in January of 2008. And then when the catalog updated in February, a lot of missing anime returned except Gurren. This was happening because at the time, ADV was going through financial issues because of piracy. ADV did start dubbing it, but didn't have the budget to continue it, so the deal went under and they lost the license. The following year is when Bandai Entertainment acquired Gurren. Since Bandai was in LA and ADV Films were in Texas, the voice cast was completely different. In the ADV version, Josh Greeley played Simon, Brett Weaver was Kamina, and Tiffany Grant was Yoko. The whole ADV cast is online. The dub is out there though. They sent out a test disc for audiences that had the first few episodes. While making this, someone posted online about having an ADV Gurren DVD, but it was then deleted, so it's possible others may have it. Only one clip from it has ever appeared online, and there is the ADV trailer, but it has no audio from the dub. It will most likely never be released because of legal issues, and also because ADV doesn't exist anymore. There is a comparison of the dubs available on YouTube if you want to check it out. The Mermaid Melody English dub. Mermaid Melody Pitchy Pitchy Pitch, a magical girl anime about a mermaid princess who falls in love with a human boy and must protect her kingdom from evil forces. The show was licensed by ADV Films in 2004, and it was planned to be broadcasted on American television. Like I mentioned before, it was common for anime to have a planned toy line for its US broadcast, but it was all banked on the show getting a network to air it, and this anime sadly didn't get one. Since it never got picked up, ADV dropped it and it went back to the TV station that broadcast it in Japan, TV Aichi. When they got it back, that included the dub, and they have had it ever since. Mermaid Melody had a lot of singing in it, which was also dubbed into English, which is much harder than just regular dubbing and recording and in adapting. Most of the time dialogue is just dubbed, and if there's any singing, it's left alone because of the long process in making it work. Unlike the other anime on this list, the entire series was dubbed. A trailer that promotes it and the toy line show the actors for the main girls. Lucy Christian played Lucy Anonymous, Carly Mosier played Rena Toin, and Brittany Karbowski played Hanan Hosho and even narrated the trailer. It also confirms that both seasons were dubbed because it says that there are over 90 episodes of it. Both seasons together have 91 episodes. Anime News Network has more of the cast list. Some of the voice actors don't even have the characters they played. With 91 episodes, the number of characters is massive, so the dub cast isn't everyone who worked on it. It was used as a basis for a French and Spanish dub that did air. TV Aichi is still in possession of the English version for over 10 years now, and it looks like they have no plans on ever releasing it. Sergeant Frog's multiple dubs. The anime about amphibian-looking space invaders that had every type of humor you can possibly think of is riddled with lost/unreleased dubs. So let's start from the beginning. Back in 2006, it was originally licensed by, you guessed it, ADV Films. At the time, the anime boom was dying and a lot of shows never got to see an English broadcast like they were planned. Sergeant Frog looked like it could be a big hit to a young audience and could possibly jumpstart it all over again. It was huge in Japan, had great character designs that were easy to make merchandise for, and it was pretty family friendly so anyone could enjoy it. It was so huge that ADK, a Japanese advertising agency, wanted it to reach North America. They saw the huge potential it had. Ad agencies market and promote for their clients, which can be big businesses. When ADV acquired it, they had the huge task of adapting it to work for TV. Sergeant Frog had many references and parody to anime series that while anime fans in Japan would get, an American audience wouldn't. ADV even worked with the people who were behind the 4Kids stuff of Pokemon, Summit Entertainment. When it comes to pitching a show for a TV network, there must be a proof of concept to show them. They really wanted to sell the show to a network, which is where the dub comes in. It's unknown how many episodes were localized. Some say a single pilot, others say 3 episodes. What is known is that there are 3 different versions of whatever was produced. An otaku/fan pilot that didn't change the humor and kept all the anime references and parody, very much like the Funimation dub, a mass market pilot that tried to appeal to a general audience, and a kid-oriented pilot that was aimed at a child audience. Cartoon Network liked the mass market pilot, while Nickelodeon liked the kid one. I think you can figure out what happened with ADV based on all the mentions of them in this video. They had financial troubles at the time, which affected Sergeant Frog like many of their other anime. What happened was that ADV went under before they could make any deals. It especially hurts when learning how much they paid for the title. A court document revealed the amount of money spent on 29 anime. Sergeant Frog was on there with an amount a little over $400,000. Their dub did change a few things, like the Coronian characters' names having a slight tweak. The removal of the 3rd syllable in their name, so Keto became Keto, and so on and so forth. The human names changed as well, going from Japanese to English ones, like Natsumi being changed to Natalie/Nathalie. There is an ADV trailer of the dub where you can hear some of the character voices. The opening theme for the pilot is also available on SoundCloud, and the person who wrote it even explains the direction behind this version in the comments. Some more information on the dub surprisingly appeared really close to me. At one of my local cons, Monica Rial, a really well-known anime dubbing voice actor who's worked with Funimation, Sentai Filmworks, and ADV Films when they were still around, dropped a tiny bit of information on it.
There were several incarnations of Sergeant Frog. Like for a while ADV had it, and when ADV had it, there's actually one incarnation out there somewhere in the universe where I play Keroro, if you can believe that or not. And everything looks kind of like those. Which kind of sounds like Todd. Just kidding, I love Todd.
So it's now confirmed that she played Keto in one of the dubs, and she even does what would have been his voice. It sounds identical to her Tsuyu Wasui.
I told you to call me Sue.
I think it's kind of funny how her Keto kind of lived on in Sue. The trailer doesn't show anything that would give away which dub was used for it, but it definitely isn't the Monica one because Keto's voice is completely different. At the panel, she also confirmed that Hilary Hagg played Momoko Nishizawa in every incarnation of ADV Sergeant Frog.
ADV, whom I adore, named Hilary Hagg. And Hilary Hagg has the stinking cutest voice. If you think my voice is cute, look up Hilary Hagg. Because it's like kind of like a rough and tumble kind of tomboy 5-year-old. That's just her speaking voice. And so Hilary would always get cast as Momoko. And even though I got Keroro at one point, I was like, I really like Momoko. I really like her a lot. And so then when
With ADV going under, Funimation later got the license and those pilots would disappear along with ADV. Monica wasn't done. At the panel she also confirmed that they recorded a bunch of episodes of the Funimation dub that were never released.
There's also a whole bunch of it that we recorded that hasn't been released. So I know. I'm sorry, that was probably not what you wanted to hear. But it's on a computer somewhere. Don't hack
They
it.
only released 78 episodes of the dub, and then they stopped because they weren't making a profit on the series. The last DVD released in 2012, so they have had those episodes for at least 5 years. Unlike the others, those episodes do have a possibility of being seen. She says that Funimation listens to fans and that if there is a big enough demand for it, they will release those episodes. I know a lot of companies say that they listen to fans, but Funny actually does that. Because remember, they licensed Nishijo, Hyoka, and Gothic, 3 shows no one ever thought would be released in the States, and they only did it because of fan request. This is the only dub where the chances of us seeing it is actually high.
80K's Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. Throughout the video, I talked about a lot of anime that tried to launch a franchise in America, and now I get to talk about one of the few the others tried to replicate, Yu-Gi-Oh! Being huge at the time and still alive and kicking today, the original series by Kazuki Takahashi was so huge that it got lots of spin-offs. I'll be focusing on the third one, Zexal. While it did air in America, the dub was done by 4Kids Entertainment, but there was another one created. Everything that did lead to both dubs being produced, I kid you not, it goes all the way back to the moment 4Kids got the original Yu-Gi-Oh! License in the early 2000s. It was this giant legal battle between 2 companies that kept building over so many years. The history is so long that I could easily make a video on it going into full detail. I'm going to try to briefly talk about the history and mainly talk about the end result being 2 dubs. 4Kids Entertainment is the company that has Yu-Gi-Oh! License since the original series. They were also responsible for dubbing it and all the spin-offs. Zexal started airing in April of 2011. 4Kids license meant they already had the show, but at the time they filed for bankruptcy because of a lawsuit by TV Tokyo and Nihon Ad System, which was filed in March of that same year, a month before it would premiere in Japan. TV Tokyo is a television station in Japan that specializes in airing anime. Nihon Ad Systems is a production and character merchandising company, which is a subsidiary of 80K. Sound familiar? These 2 companies help produce a lot of anime by funding its production, which is why you see TV Tokyo's logo before some anime. The AD in Nihon Ad System is an abbreviation for animation development. It's very clear what their main job is. They were being sued because 4Kids allegedly hid a lot of money that Nihon, the company that owned Yu-Gi-Oh!, was supposed to be getting in royalties, which was the time that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was at its most popular. During that time frame, the series made 4Kids around $152 million from merchandising, and a good chunk of that they kept, and Nihon noticed that the math of their contract wasn't adding up. 4Kids owed 80K/Nihon around $4 million. Licensing is all based on the original creators getting royalties for their product being sold by someone else. This clearly broke the contract between them, and then Nihon and TV Tokyo filed a lawsuit against 4Kids and wanted to revoke their license of the series. While this court case was happening, 80K/Nihon were quite certain that they would get the rights back, so they started to produce their own dub so that it could be aired on American television when the court case was all done. 4Kids would later sell a lot of their assets, Yu-Gi-Oh! Going to Konami, who handles the trading card game and video games. So what happened with 4Kids? Well, Konami, after buying the Yu-Gi-Oh! Property, took over the 4Kids office in New York and would make a new company called 4 Licensing Corporation, a company dedicated to everything Yu-Gi-Oh! And it was made up of previous 4Kids employees. So with all the crappy things 4Kids did, they technically kept the license. Like I mentioned earlier, there is so much to unpack with this thing that I'm barely scratching the surface. I'm leaving a lot of details out, you have no idea. Now time to talk about the dub. 80K contracted one at the Los Angeles-based recording studio Bang Zoom. It was produced over 6 to 8 months and had 26 episodes completed and 2 that were in the works. The reason this dub is number 1 is because it had something I have never seen done with a localization. Remember, 80K owns and makes Yu-Gi-Oh! So when it came to their English dub, they helped a lot in producing it. Christy Reed, who was the director and has worked on a lot of series, talked about it at a panel a few years ago. This dub was getting actual animation cells from the Japanese production to make the dubbing process even smoother, adding or getting rid of mouth flaps to work with what the voice actors were saying. This has never happened before, and 80K's version of Zexal was the first and only dub to ever do that. She states that they completely reanimated scenes. While you may be thinking that's bad, they shouldn't change the source material, it was much more faithful to the original Japanese version than the one we got with 4Kids. 80K had complete trust with Christy and her team with this localization. This was a superior dub in every way. There were a few changes done in it, but remember that 80K was completely okay with them. It had new music composed, more comical sound effects, and again the changed animation. It even had a new opening theme, which both the demo version and the final version have been found and uploaded. After 2 days of audio glitches, while I was rendering this, someone uploaded 3 minutes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal ADK footage onto YouTube, and yeah, so this is kind of out of nowhere, there's no script, it's on YouTube. It gets the footage, or it gets the audio from the Christy Reed panel and splices it over the appropriate footage to artificially create the dub. So yeah, it's on YouTube, this is out of nowhere, and it also has both the demo and final version of the ADK opening. The demo version was being sung by Johnny, Yuma's VA, and then the final version is being sung by a different band. So yeah, it's on YouTube, this is out of nowhere. Sorry for the random cut. Back to the video. Some of the cast is available. Johnny Bosch played Yuma, Vic Mignogna played Shark, Cassandra Lee Morris confirmed that she played Tori at a convention panel.
A secret one that was done in LA, and I was actually part of that. I played Tori, and like Johnny Bosch was in that. I think Vic Mignogna might have been in that. And it was kind of like a race to like see who could get Zexal on the air first. And New York unfortunately won in like their version.
And Anime News Network has that Liam O'Brien played Astral, Sam Riegel played Kite, and Richard Cancino played Bronk. While they were dubbing it, they learned that 4Kids was going to keep the license, so they had to stop production and shelve it forever. For legal reasons, she can't release this dub. The panel where Christy Reed talks about it shows footage from it, but the video audio massively desyncs. The whole panel is really interesting, especially hearing about the situation from someone who saw it firsthand. It also really sucks because the voice actors who worked on it have stated that it was one of their favorite projects.
We'll never see the light of day, so like that's a huge bummer. That was a letdown, but it's like, what are you gonna do? You know, it's just part of life.
What would you say was the role that you had the most fun playing?
The most fun? Ichigo's a lot of fun. Ichigo, Hollow Ichigo. Bash was a lot of fun. Man, I mean, there's a lot, you know. You know what? Which one I really had a lot of fun on is we did Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, which 4Kids was doing at the same time, and there's like this, you know, lawsuit going on. And so the Japanese company was kind of behind the one we were doing, and they were doing one in New York, wherever. And we had so much freedom. And I felt like I honestly poured in my best work ever, my best performances just across the board. And everyone did, you know, there's a lot of people in it. And it was a great series. The version that we did was really awesome and a lot of fun. It was just so much fun. I really had a lot of fun on it. But then they lost the lawsuit, and so our version is never going to see the light of day. But it was the most fun, I guess.
But hey, the check's cleared, right?
Yeah.
But alas, you will never see it. Go to Anime News Network. It's one of the best places for anime news and info. It's very organized, so you can find anything, even minute detail in articles. Also, please go and support the Lost Media Wiki on Patreon. The work they are doing to find lost videos, audio, games, and any type of lost media is great, so please go check them out. Everything I talked about is linked below, and those are my sources. Lost Dubs is finished. Sorry for the long gap between parts. This was much bigger than I thought it would be. If you enjoyed this video, stay on the channel. I make videos about anime all the freaking time, and if you hit the end of the video, I always appreciate that. Bye guys, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.